Hello, how's everyone doing? We're back with another video. Today, we'll be covering select sayings on sex and celibacy, but strictly on brahmacharya. So this video is a compilation of the best quotes on brahmacharya, semen retention, celibacy, etc. Now these aren't all the quotes out there. There are plenty of quotes that you can go by, live by, extort, break down. But for the most part, these are some of the most important ones, and we'll go over each one in depth. So without further ado, guys, let us begin. Friends, brahmacharya is abstaining from all kinds of mathuna, or sexual enjoyment, forever, in all places and in all conditions, physically, mentally, and verbally. Yajnava Yilka. So, sexual intercourse in Tantra. In Tantra, mathuna refers to sexual intercourse, the fluids produced during the act, or the couple participating in the ritual. It's a key part of the tattva chakra, the main ritual of Tantra. Maithuna represents the union of opposing forces, such as the human and divine, and worldly enjoyment and spiritual liberation, or better known as the caduceus meeting at the top point. The caduceus representing the negative and positive polarities colliding at once to become singularity. But brahmacharya is the absence or essentially abstaining from all sorts of mathuna. Avoiding this because you want to protect the grand arcanum, protect the spiritual virya that is so powerful. Virya is so powerful. Thinking of a woman or her picture, praising a woman or her picture, sporting with a woman or her picture, glancing at a woman or her picture, secretly talking to women, thinking of a sinful actions towards a woman, actuated by sensuality, determining upon the sinful action and bodily action, resulting in the discharge of semen, are the 8 characteristics of copulation, and brahmacharya is quite contrary to all these 8 indications. Daksha Smriti. So, this is a STEM process. This is more of a step-by-step procedure we're seeing here, a STEM kind of procedure on how these little actions stem on to what happens to the full release. The full release is the ending, the climax, the little death. This is the ending. But we're looking at all the minute steps prior: thinking, praising, sporting, glancing, secretly talking, etc. These all lead to your downfall, especially in the heavy practice of brahmacharya or semen retention. It's essential to keep the mind very diligent. It's essential to keep the body diligent, for this is how you remain in your full godhood. Know that in this world there is nothing, and I mean nothing, that cannot be attained by one who remains from birth to death a perfect celibate. In one person, knowledge of the 4 Vedas, and in another, perfect celibacy. Of these, the latter is superior to the former, who is wanting in celibacy. The Mahabharata. As we see here, there are many Vedas, many Upanishads, and this is just a explanatory explanation of how, through the practice of semen retention, the practice of celibacy or brahmacharya, there's nothing you won't know. You become all-knowing. That's essentially where you will become. In a form of singularity, it's a removal of duality and becoming the singular one Atman, or at least attaining that similar godhood. There's no Veda that you cannot understand. There's no Sanskrit that you won't be able to understand. You will know everything the further you go and the longer you endure, because this is an enduring process. That's why many people who come onto this channel, they start off on some of the very most minute streaks. They say, I'm trying on 3 days. I'm trying on 7 days. I'm on 30 days. They're just starting out, right? But for the people who have been going on for such a long period, know the true powers that come with it. Secrecy. They know to be secret about what they are doing. They know the immense amount of knowledge they are receiving, the immense amount of gusto and suave they have when it comes to doing things. Right? This is what happens when you use your sexual prowess, your sexual energy for things external to yourself, besides sensual pleasures. You start to walk around with this gusto, this suave, this swagger, this godlike energy around you, this protective aura shield around you. The longer you go and the more you see in the brain, which is the memory constantly recording all these scenes, they start to interlace. So it's essential to understand that in this world, there is nothing you can't have the longer you retain. You become a walking magnet, and the magnet grows and grows and grows and grows from the depths of anywhere, from the Grand Canyon to the Himalayas, from the depths of the tippy top of the mountains to the grand abyss. It doesn't matter. You can pull anything off, pull anything towards you. It is an ultimate pull. That is what semen retention does. That is what the heavy practice of brahmacharya does. Because just retaining the semen is not enough. Just saying I'm going to go on a duration and just retain the semen physically is not enough. You have to be intertwined mentally, physically, and spiritually. Then and only then will you reap the rewards. Then and only then will you see from a singularity perspective. You will no longer be seeing life through a duality scale, right? There's good, there's evil, there's man, there's woman. You start to see things, like we mentioned in the previous video, how there's beauty in almost everything. Brahmacharya, or spotless chastity, is the best of all penances. A celibate of such spotless chastity is not a human being, but a god indeed. To the celibate who conserves the semen with great efforts, what is there unattainable in this world? By the power of the composure of the semen, one will become just like myself, Lord Sankara, or Shiva. And it is known, and when we make our video in the future about Shiva and go through Shiva in depth, Shiva was very powerful. Shiva never spilled his seed. Shiva was one of the most renounced, one of the most profound of the gods within the trinity of Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, right? There is a depiction of Brahma and Vishnu in a quarrel. They argue with each other about who is really God or who is superior to each other, right? So they find this never-ending phallic-like symbol, like a fire. And they both raced each other to see where is the beginning and the end, only to find no avail, that there is no beginning or end. It's the phallic symbol of forever, the eternal flame. That's what Shiva represents, the eternal flame, the celibate who never gave out, right? And there's many, many stories I want to give to you guys about Shiva and what Shiva has done. So with that being said, the composure, the diligence, the vigilance are three things you must keep in mind in the prowess of maintaining this seminal value and how potent this energy really is, guys. Like I've said in many other videos, this is like God's milk. This is God's milk within you. And the more you deplete, the more you destroy and die. So it's essential to be very, very cautious, very, very diligent on your energy. And not just the seminal value, but what you put your energy to in terms of thoughts, what you put your heart into in terms of emotions, what you start to perceive beyond the physical, right? It all pulls back into your heart. And those students who find that world of God through chastity, theirs is that heavenly country. Theirs, in whatever world they are, is freedom. Chandogya Upanishad. So from another Upanishad, many of the Upanishads will give you many of gnosis. So much gnosis in the Upanishads. Bhagavad Gitas, the Upanishads. These books are great. They're filled with so much gnosis. And this is another point in that gnosis, is that you will find a different world, a different perception the longer you remain chaste. You will find a different life, for you are radiating that life itself because you did not diminish it. A wise man should avoid married life as if it were a burning pit of live coals. From the contact comes sensation, from sensation, thirst, and from thirst, clinging. By ceasing from that, the soul is delivered from all sinful existence. So quickly, let's just break that down. So contact is the penetration or the physical apparatus coming into contact through the urinary tracts, right? Everything came to about through the urinary and digestive tracts. So from contact comes sensation. Okay, now your brain is starting to feel this. The parietal lobe, the temporal lobe, the occipital lobe, the hippocampus is now recording this, the sense, the physical motions, the memories you're having. It's all being recorded now. Now from sensation to thirst. You had this sensation. You enjoyed this pleasure. You want to repeat it. The brain wants to repeat pleasurable things. That's why it gets so addicted to drugs. It gets so addicted to drunkenness, gluttony, wine bibbers, sex. It becomes a slave to it because this is the thirst. It starts to cling from that. This thirst, this heavy thirst is so fear driven. It reeks of fear because it's almost like an animal who cannot get past its own senses, right? And as humans, we have the ability to go past that, go past the animalistic desires and be much greater than that. In our previous video of Hemuchudha, I went over how worms act, right? That's a similar scenario on the animalistic mind and how worms and animals or man are almost the same because of how they act. But for the most part, the soul is delivered from all sinful existence once you cease from that. There is no loop, there is no desire, and with no desire, there is no suffering, right? We mentioned how Buddha mentioned how suffering is a byproduct of attachment, or attachment is suffering. And this is how it begins. Contact, sensation, the thirst from that sensation, clinging. Clinging is the last part. When you cling on, it's almost like a rope that's wrapped around your hand. And the more you pull, it's actually doing more and more damage to your hand. But once you finally release from this clinging, all pain ceases. Similar prowess and similar process when we talk about celibacy, semen retention, and brahmacharya. It's to rid yourself of all external fears, rid yourself of any false attachments, because this is the two things that are happening in this world. This illusory world is filled with illusions, filled with ways to steal your most proficient energy, and to make you a slave to anything and everything. Make you a slave to the money. Make you a slave to your lusts. Make you a slave to your anger. Using your emotions against you. You don't ever want to be clinging to anything, okay? We live in such an impermanent world, okay? The beauty you see around you, enjoy it, love it. Live in the present moment. For there is no beyond and there is no forward without the now. Don't ever cling to anything or anyone. Okay? It's okay to love things. Express them freely. Enjoy them. hearken them, be well aware of it, but never love something so much that you're never willing to let it go. This is where all suffering starts from. And by ceasing any of this, the soul is delivered from all sinful existence. Lord Buddha. These sexual propensities, though they are first like ripples, acquire the proportions of a sea on account of bad company. So everything you do, every thought you take, every step you take, every single little minute thing acts as a ripple. The small little acts of kindness, they become ripples. The small acts of anger, they become ripples. Destruction, love, creation, joy, all are ripples. So these sexual forces, they might come in a minute way, and then they start to ripple on and make a bigger ripple across the entire ocean. It's important that during your process of semen retention or brahmacharya, that you are around good company. You're not around people that will ripple you into bad thoughts, to a downfall of actions. You want to be around good company. So understand that the sexual prowess and thoughts in general act as a ripple. Your actions are a ripple as well. So always try to be as kind as possible, because these actions end up rippling in the cosmos. Sensuality destroys life. Let me repeat that again. Sensuality destroys life. And what gave life was sensuality to begin with. So in essence, this is the Ouroboros that we were talking about. It gives life and it could also take life. Luster, strength, vitality, memory, wealth, great fame, holiness, and devotion to the Supreme, Lord Krishna. Life around you is beautiful. Life is beautiful. Everything around it is perfect in all its ways. Even the darks are perfect, because without a vessel of darkness, you can't project the light. So duality is forever needed. No matter how dark it may seem, no matter how abnormal it may seem, it is still necessary. The ghouls, the demons, they're necessary for there to be angels. They're necessary. These are the duality of life. For the night there is the day, for the man there is the woman, for the sun there is the moon. It's a constant duality. This is the cosmic dance in play. But releasing from any worldly attachments will allow you to live in true bliss. True bliss. Without fear or anxiety of loss. Fear or anxiety of attachment. Fear made up through the mind. Fear that can also be abolished and destroyed by that same mind. Death is hastened by letting out semen from the body. Life is saved and prolonged by preserving it. So, la petite mort is a French term for orgasm, meaning the little death. So if an orgasm is a little death, then death itself must be a tremendous orgasm. In which case, life is merely foreplay. Hence, just as the more untamedly you approach sex, the better the climax. So it is with life and death. The more courage you bring to your life, the more fantastic will be your death. Take this with a grain of salt, okay? You want to be brave. You want to be courageous. You want to live a life such as this. You should, by all means. And how do you get there? By having this Virya energy with you. This would give you that. It gives you such a profound aura around you. It gives you such a profound mindset that you will be so courageous and so bold that there's nothing that can get in your way. And that's only through the preservation of this seminal value. The more and more it is lost and lost and lost, you will not be able to have this courage. You will not be able to bring out this boldness. This is why in the French know it as a little death, because it's not a full death. You still live. But what is still living if you lost your most valuable source, your most valuable proteins, your most valuable fats, bloods, and childs? What is it then? It is to live a good life, but not to live a amazing, great life. And a byproduct of by your own hand. This is a byproduct of loss of life at your own hand, because if you were diligent and you were controlling your mind, you wouldn't fall astray, right? But this is from Tony Vigorito. There is no doubt that people die prematurely by letting the semen out of the body. Knowing this, the yogi should always preserve semen and lead a life of strict celibacy. So, like we mentioned, guys, to give life is a facet of which every man has. To give out life. But at the expense of giving out life, something is going to be extracted. A piece of your own life, in essence. Be very diligent on who you make affairs with, who you mingle with, what women you decide to sport with. For this one act of sensation may lead to years and years of suffering, resent. So be very diligent on who you share your energies with, who you want to make your wife, who you want to make your Beyonce, who you decide to make the mother of your children. Be very diligent in this process. And the only way you will find out is under strict celibacy. You will be able to see, like an X-ray scanner, past all the facades, all the illusions that they are really doing in this cosmos, in the West. Which it is all just an illusory game. Illusory game of control and fake power and this exemplification of prowess and people showing they have stuff, but really they are in debt. They're in debt because they want to show people they have things. Because this is fear. This is all fear. All a byproduct of fear, which semen retention in brahmacharya and celibacy crushes fear, right? It crushes fear. It destroys fear. You will be fearless, a fearless warrior walking through this cosmos. The more you retain, the more you understand who you are. Really look at yourself and realize who you are. Caution in diet is of threefold value, but abstinence from sexual intercourse is of fourfold value. The sannyasi had and has a rule never to look at a woman. So many of these yogis from the past, they did this on purpose not because they were disrespectful or they thought they were superior, but rather they understood how powerful the mind is, how quickly it could be detoured just by external stimuli. Think about it. All the mistakes you've made, all the things you have done is all due to external stimuli. What if you lived your life forever with your eyes closed? Think about all the sorrow and contentment and all the remorse and all the anger and frustration. It would not exist. It only exists when your eyes are open. Same applies for any external stimuli. You may see a beautiful woman, but you don't see the future. You don't see the quarrels. You don't see the resentments. You don't see what's going to transpire because you're not looking forward. You're looking lustfully. You're looking for this moment and right now. What can I do in this moment right now? Just get the process of ejaculation over and then it's kind of done from there. It's kind of what's next. And you don't want to be in that state. You want to constantly be aware of your surroundings, constantly aware of your brain, your mind, your virya, your prana. You have to be in control of your breath, mind, and virya. These are important. These are part of the fourfold value. And for people that this may be difficult, right? To not look But for the most part, guys, when you're truly, truly passionate about this celibacy, truly, truly passionate about semen retention, people will understand. The women will understand. They'll get out your way. The people around you, they'll understand. It becomes an understanding process because you're gonna give off this radiation, this aura of self godhood. That's essentially what you're trying to attain. Um, and splitting up this self godhood is duality. That is when you have a child. Um, but we have to recognize how potent and how powerful this video is, and why it is in the most evil people's hands to try and decimate the youth and try and destroy them with what they see and show them such derogatory settings and etc. It shows how powerful you could be if you truly looked into yourself and passed all the external viewpoints that are trying to rid you of your energy, that are trying to destroy who you are, trying to make you hate yourself so they can make a quick buck off you. Hey, you don't like the way you look, you can change that, you could pay for that. It's all part of the same commercial plan to make you anxiety driven, to make you scared, to make you fearful. And when you are at your most fearful, that's when they make their most money. So from the Manu, let not a Brahmin see a woman naked. This goes without to say, guys. I mean, the mind is a very, very provocative place. It starts from the brain, then it ends up in the vas deferens. Before you know it, the blood is already going there because you're thinking lustfully and sensually. Now, you don't have to see a woman naked to think lustfully or sensually, but it's essential to keep your eyes pure. Do not look for external ways because you will fall. You will fall if you constantly look for external ways. Whether you're scrolling through IG, scrolling through TikTok, think about the loads of degeneracy that's put on there just to stray your mind. You have to see it for what it is. They want your energy. They don't care how they get it. They want you at your most weakened state, because at your most weakened state, you won't be able to see the singularity. You're more controllable. You're fearful. We can control you now. Remember this, guys. It's about control. Okay? So, guys, we went over some of the greatest quotes when in terms of brahmacharya, semen retention, etc. Of course, there are a plethora of more that we can go over, but these in particular were the select sayings on sex and celibacy. So thank you guys so much for viewing. Thank you guys so much for the comments, the likes, the subscriptions, etc. It does not go without notice. Everything is part of the grand plan. So thank you guys so much. And I'm also thankful I had another chance to make a video today as well. So thank you guys. Thank you guys again for watching. Friends, family, thank you. Thank you again.